All right, gentlemen, on today's Mountaintop podcast, where better men get better women, we're going to talk about a topic that I can't really put a finger on why we've never covered it before, but we're going to talk about how to know when you're loved and when you're not. And of course, we've talked about love on this show before, what it is. But I think this is one of those things that's one of those rocks we don't want to look under. If we're asking ourselves that question, we quickly run away and hide from it because, man, I've got this hot girl in my life and I want her to love me. She says she loves me. And so, yeah, maybe I'm just seeing things or, being pessimistic for no reason if I don't feel like I'm being loved. Well, my guest today has written a book called The Right Fight, and he loves to talk about this subject. He may be a sick puppy because I don't know if anybody else loves to talk about it because it's scary. But he indeed loves to talk about fear and how to conquer it also. So I'm certainly looking forward to this conversation. Before we dive into that, I want to remind you that I am Scott McKay. I am your host from X&Y Communications. You can find me all over social media at Scott McKay, with the exception of Instagram, where I'm at Real Scott McKay because I wasn't much of an early adopter there for some reason. And guys, if you're not on the Mountaintop Summit Facebook group, you really should be. It's a great group of guys. It's not like other men's groups out there. We don't sit around and complain to each other. Complaining doesn't get you very far in this life. So it's a good, positive group. We have some fun there too. So go ahead and join the Mountaintop Summit on Facebook. My guest today, first-time guest. He is from Beaumont, Texas. Like I said, he is the author of The Right Fight and founder of an organization called Shield of Strength. Kenny Vaughan, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Scott, and I appreciate you being willing to let me come on here and talk about love, because I do. That's all. My poor family, that's all they ever hear. So,
well, I mean, if my wife heard about love all the time, I don't know if I would feel sorry for her or bad for her. I think that's a good thing. You have some very interesting thoughts on what love is, and you've spent 20 years wrestling with the question. So tell us a little bit about that journey, Kenny.
well, so I always thought that love was a feeling, and if love was a feeling, I felt like, what control over it did I have? And I didn't. I felt like I didn't have any control over it, but I couldn't. I remember one time I was sitting on a couch before my wife and I got married for marriage counseling, and they told me that love was a decision. And when they said that, I thought that sounds pretty smart. But then I sat there and thought for a second, and like, am I sitting here deciding that I feel what I feel for my about to be wife? And I thought, I'm definitely not making a decision to feel this. Like, there's no question. So then I wrote it off as, that sounded smart, but it really wasn't smart at all. But what I've learned over time is that the feeling, the mistake I was making whenever I said, hey, love isn't a decision because it's certainly a feeling for me. The mistake I was making was I was assuming that the feeling was for no reason. The reality I came to understand later was that the reason I felt love for now my wife of almost 30 years, but my girlfriend at the time, my fiance, the reason I felt love for her was because she was loving me. All right. So in other words, I would say there's 7 things that love is, there's 8 things that love is not. I don't know if I can remember them all off the top of my head, but love is patient. It's kind. It's truthful. It protects others, not itself. It trusts, it hopes, and it perseveres. And if you'd have said, who is Tammy? I would have said, she's patient, she's kind. To me, she's patient, she's kind, she's truthful, protects. This is who she is to me. What love is not, is what I would say fear is. So fear is angry. It's rude. It's envious. It's prideful. It's selfish. It's boastful. It delights in evil. I missed a couple of them there. So here's where I'm going with this. If I'm sitting here saying I love my wife because I have a feeling for her. But the reality is, when I say I love my wife, what I'm really saying is my wife loves me. If I'm talking about the feeling. Because, and if you don't believe that, I'll just tell you, if your wife is the 7 things that love is, patient, kind, truthful, protects, others, trust. If she's those things, you're going to feel love for her. But what would you feel if she became angry, rude, envious, prideful, boastful, selfish. If she becomes those things and you say, and you fell in love with her, now you would say, I'm falling out of love with her.
Or I'm in love with you. I love you. I'm just not in love with you anymore. That's when the feeling has been lost.
Yeah. People say that, when someone says that, I always want to ask them, okay, what do you say? You said you love them, but you don't feel love for them. So tell me what you mean by I love you.
Well, I don't want anything bad to happen to you. I've made a decision to stand by you. I'll be committed to you, perhaps, or maybe I don't want to be committed to you anymore. And it's the excuse that I have fallen out of love. But the feeling is gone, even though that decision you spoke of may still be there. It's not a visceral feeling. It's not something I'm happy to do anymore. It's not something I even want to do. It's just sort of there. And it feels more like an obligation instead of a privilege nowadays, or a
Okay.
happy
So then,
accident.
right. So then the next question would be, why is the feeling gone?
No, I think you nailed it. And I want to acknowledge the counterintuitiveness of what you just said. And you warned me before we hit click on this, hit click record on this, that you would be very counterintuitive. And I was like, bring it. I love it. I love her because she loves me.
No, you don't.
Well, I mean, isn't that what you just said? I mean, because she shows love
Oh, yeah,
towards
yeah, yeah.
me, I feel
Okay.
love towards her.
Yeah, yeah.
Did I misunderstand
I
something?
feel love for her because I'm sorry. I didn't understand what you're saying. Yes, I feel love for her because she's loving me. Not only that, but if we're talking about the feeling of love,
Yes.
not the act of love, but the feeling of love. Yes, that feeling is normally mostly because you can love people that you don't even like.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
You
think we're
don't
getting
have
too
to.
far down this rabbit hole before we
Yeah.
clarify the first part. So let me spit this out and let's see if I'm on the right track here. I also want to acknowledge, second of all, that everything you said is scriptural from a Christian perspective. Basically fear would be the 7 deadly sins, and there
Right.
you basically quoted a passage of what love is from the Bible. There's also one that, in conversation you and I had before we actually went live here, perfect love casts out all fear, which is also Judeo-Christian scripture. And it's not unusual to hear us talk about fear being the opposite of love around here. And of course, the knee-jerk reaction is the opposite of love has to be hate. But hate is a function of fear. Look at like racism or sexism. If we don't know much about someone who's different than us, then we might not like them. We may not feel comfortable around them because we don't know them very well. We don't understand them. And what that happens is it causes us to dislike them, then hate them. And that's what breeds systemic racism and sexism, et cetera, which is ignorance. So, once we get to know this person, once we get to trust this person, um, all the envy, the jealousy, that fades, which is part of the fear shade of things, that darker side, and the light of trust and communication and all the things that make love good, patience, kindness with each other, rather than impatience and, fear-based loathing, get driven out. And the more of the fear-based stuff that gets driven out, the more room there is for the love to shine through. Now, I think we've gotten to the point in this culture where people assume a relationship is supposed to be transactional. Why am I marrying you? Well, because you're going to give me money or status or sex or look cute when I take you out places and make me, just be someone to talk to instead of being lonely all the time. You're going to cure me of loneliness. You're going to do things for me. And, people throw the word narcissism around nowadays, but we've lived in a me first epoch in this culture for a few generations now, arguably since the 80s or even the 60s. And it has gotten to the point now, especially with social media and, post COVID, where we were all locked in and really had only ourselves to take care of. We couldn't even socialize with anybody else. Transactional relationships, I mean, what am I getting out of this? Have become the de facto standard I mean, you ask someone in their 20s, it's likely they'll go, I don't even understand what you're talking about. What do you mean? I'm going to want to be in this relationship because I want to give to this other person. And then you have people who are of the mindset, and you could call it a mental health issue, where they're targeting people who are optimistic and generous and patient and kind, just so they can siphon from them because they know they'll always keep giving. And that's a toxic abuse of someone's attempt to love you. So this whole idea to say, my response to someone showing traits of love as opposed to fear towards me is to love them in return. A lot of people are going to say it's a pretty hot take because it seems like as men, we should be the ones leading in that regard. And then if we make her feel safe and comfortable and acknowledge her and don't make her feel stupid, well, then that femininity will respond to our leadership by loving us in return, as long as she's not toxic and narcissistic herself. How does that all fit into your universe as you see it, as you think about it?
Okay. Love is not transactional. Fear is transactional. Love has no expectations. Fear has expectations. If you're worried about, hey, so one of the first hurdles of truly loving people is people are going to run over me. They're going to take advantage of me. They're going to siphon, as you said there. If you love people, so love is your offense and your defense. If you really love someone, I'm not talking about feeling love for someone right now. Okay. I'm talking about what love really is. I would say that the feeling of love is the fruit of love, but the love is the choice to be patient, kind, truthful, protect others, trust, hope, and persevere. Okay.
Build it and it will come.
Yeah. Love, right. Love will find you. You don't need to find love.
Interesting.
Love will find you. That's right. But the way love finds you, because you're like, oh, well, because I'm afraid that I'm going to love you and I'm not going to be loved in return, then I become transactional. So I'm obedient to fear. I'm obedient to my fear. What I have to decide is my goal is I'm going to love you whether you love me or not. Now, part of loving, the problem is people think me loving you means just being nice. Well, half the time, nice isn't even kind. It's selfish, and it's with no concern for someone else's true best interest.
Has an agenda.
Yeah, that's right. And why are you being nice? You're not being nice. I'm not being nice. I'm not being kind if I'm being nice to you when you're when you're a siphon, for example.
Well, it doesn't make a woman feel safe either, because she doesn't
Right.
understand this. It feels fake to her. This is why Mr. Nice Guy doesn't get very far with women.
Well, and I would take that a step further than that. The reason nice guys don't get very far is because they don't love women. The woman knows she's not loved. And when she knows she's not loved, she knows she's not protected. And when she knows she's not protected, she's afraid because you're stronger than she is. So the reason nice guys struggle is not because they're nice. There's nothing wrong with being nice. The problem is they're so nice, they won't love anybody.
Okay, so there's being a good, decent man, and then there's being Mr. Nice Guy. And Mr. Nice Guy is a facade. It's a sham.
He's selfish.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we're on the same page there.
Yeah. Mr. Nice Guy loves himself, so he can't love anyone else.
It's all an agenda. It's all based on either fear of losing her, which is possessiveness.
That's right. Right.
Or an agenda where I'm trying to kind of Eddie Haskell things out of you. I'm trying to be really nice and sugarcoat things and be a little obsequious so you'll give things to me. It's all a quest to get. And that's right. That obsequious nature of going, oh my goodness, you're so amazing, you're so terrific, is how someone who has an agenda to take from you charms their way into your life.
Yeah, but then love is your defense for that. So the mistake I think we make often is we decide, hey, I'm going to love the people that love me, but the people that try to siphon off of me, I'm not going to love them. And so what we don't realize we're doing is we're becoming transactional. And we're allowing other people to determine who we love. Like, you're going to determine who I am, essentially. Like, I'm going to be obedient to how I'm treated, How I'm treated will determine how I treat people. We do all of that because we're afraid if we love people that it's fear again, that we're going to be taken advantage of. But what I'm trying to say is that you may get taken advantage of. We all get taken advantage of at times. But if you really love someone who's taking advantage of you, why are you allowing it? And if you're continually allowing it, it's not for their sake, it's for your own sake. You're afraid to lose them. Because if you really love them, you would understand that them taking advantage of you or taking advantage of anyone is not best for them. What's best for them is that they don't take advantage of people. So my problem, if my wife is taking advantage of me, my problem isn't being taken advantage of. My problem is what's going on with my wife? Like, I love my wife too much to pretend like it's okay for her to be taking advantage of anybody. So I'm actually quicker to address selfishness, not slower, because I love people. Does that make sense?
Of course it makes sense, and it's very profound. And I think it's, again, a way that used to be more common at looking at the world than it is nowadays in our media-driven culture. This used to be matter-of-fact stuff back in the tribal area because the tribe would fall apart. And if we didn't engage in this, you couldn't be Mr. Nice Guy when we were depending upon each other for survival and we had to lean on each other. So, first of all, there's a couple things you're talking about here. The idea of tough love, of course, is a shop-worn topic, but nobody really knows what it means. You see, so as a father, as a husband, as a leader of business, I have to make hard decisions that aren't easy, but they're the best decisions. So you get the masculinity movement going, do hard things. And they're thinking of that often, at a very superficial level, like, join a fight club and do Brazilian jiu-jitsu and wake up at 4:30 in the morning. But sometimes the hardest thing to do is to tell someone you love them. I mean, you got men who are so macho out there, they won't say I love you to anybody because they think they're a simp if they open their mouth in that regard. Won't apologize to anybody. And I've had people come on this show and make a great case for how to handle apologizing to people and making sure you make right by them before you even apologize. So I understand that's a nuanced conversation as well. But I think there are a lot of guys who just run away from this because they're afraid, literally, of expressing love. And that's when women go, I need a guy who's emotionally available. And what do you know? You're describing emotional availability to a T, Kenny. I mean, women are all out there if they're lurking. I know there's some women who are flies on the wall, butterflies on the wall, right? They're prettier, and they're just saying hallelujah. Finally, a guy who gets it. Hopefully, two guys who get it, right?
Right.
It's not a coincidence you're happily married and that I'm happily married, and we love our wives and our wives love us. My wife adores me. I used to think it's just because I'm funny and crack jokes, but maybe it could be more about what you're talking about. I don't let the kids get away with things. I don't let them spend on what they want to spend and go out and do things they're not allowed to be doing or things that are unhealthy or shirk their schoolwork or their responsibilities. I run this household and I'm not always Mr. Nice Guy about it. But one thing everybody darn Skippy knows is that they're loved, that I'm acting in their best interest. Am I acting in a woman's best interest? The question I always tell guys if they're struggling with how to treat women, not because they're bad guys, but they're just struggling with, what do I even do? Is, if you're on a date with a woman, first question to ask yourself is, am I putting her at ease or am I making her feel uneasy? It's all about providing and protecting. And what guys miss is that isn't an easy question to answer usually. I mean, sometimes it's baseline. Am I getting all handsy and talking about sex before she's even said hello back? Or, that's kid stuff. That's first grade level. If she says, here's the kind of day I had and here's what I'm into, and you ridicule it or tell her, yeah, that's nothing, I got one better than that, you're not making her feel safe and comfortable because you're trying to one-up her, because you're trying to impress her, which is because you're afraid you're going to lose her. And ironically, it has the opposite effect. The other question that goes along with that, I'm throwing these at you because I want to hear your response, because these are kind of cornerstones to what we do around here. And I love how you're illuminating things we've talked about before in a whole new light. These are the shows I adore the most, by the way. So thank you already. The other question I tell guys is, am I carrying her or is she carrying me? And if a woman has to be your mommy, she's not going to be your lover. And, the root of lover is love. So if she feels like, my goodness, I got to mollycoddle this guy, I got to rescue him, I got to put his pants on for him, then she's not going to feel safe and comfortable. And those feelings of love aren't going to be there, because what the hell am I afraid of that I won't man up and do my job as a masculine human being? What say you?
Well, first of all, I'd say, now this isn't always true. I mean, some women, you can love them really well and they're still not going to feel safe and comfortable. And it has nothing to do with how you're loving them, because they got
Fair.
their own problems.
They got history. I understood.
Yeah, yeah. So that happens. I'm not suggesting that doesn't happen. But in this scenario, the reason, if a woman is actually striving, and nobody loves perfectly, that's why we have to be willing to say, I'm sorry. Like,
listen, you make a great point, and I don't want to interrupt you, but I also don't want this to disappear, because this is life-changing potentially. The more perfect we are acting, seeming, especially in those early stages of the relationship before we screwed up, the less comfortable she's going to feel. Because first of all, it's unsustainable, so it can't be authentic. Second of all, the pressure on her to live up to that takes that comfort away, makes her afraid. So yeah, the perfectionism thing's got to go out the window. You got to let the fur fly and say, all right, either we're going to be compatible or we're not, but I'm not going to be afraid of it. Continue. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, well, what I was saying was, the reason, if a woman is mostly healthy,
and we coach to finding relationships with those women around here. I have guys that come to me and go, well, my wife's a raging narcissist. How do I fix this marriage? And I'm, it's like the end of Hurt Locker. I'm sorry, dude. You're going to blow up. I can't help you anymore.
It's a major
too
problem.
Late. Yeah.
Right. But if she's mostly healthy and she doesn't feel safe, it's because she's not. I mean, I hate to say that. It's because she's not. And it's not because and she may not even know exactly why she's not safe. She just knows
that's your job to figure out.
Yeah. And she just knows that she's not. And I mean, if I was a fly on the wall and I watched, I'd be like, well, there's one thing, there's another thing, there's another thing. But so then you comes down to, I mean, you could get into 1,000 different things that guys do that make a woman realize, I would say, not feel, but a healthy woman realize she's not safe. And trying to tell the guy what those 10,000 or whatever things are, that's almost impossible. And the solution is not in not doing those things either. It's not what you do that makes someone feel unsafe. It's not what you do or what you don't do that makes your wife feel unsafe. It's why you do it that makes her feel unsafe. So if you're, in other words, if you're laying around on the couch and you don't care, and whatever your behavior is because you're not getting what you want, or because you're in a transactional relationship where you're most concerned about you being respected, or how you're being treated as a man. It's a good example. You were just talking about your children know they're loved. Okay. Your children don't know they're loved because you take control of things. Your children don't know that they're loved because you say yes, because love is a yes, and love isn't, and you say no because love is also a no. That's not why they know that they're loved. Your children know that you love them because of why you do that. In other words, they know that when dad tells me no, it's because dad believes it's best for me. You could also tell your children the same yeses and the same nos for the same reasons. But if you gave them those yeses and nos, not because you believed it was best for your children, but to make sure you were being respected as the man of the house, or that you were ruling the roost, or whatever it was, then your children would know they weren't loved. So it's not what you're doing, it's why you're doing it. Now, this isn't immediately evident in a relationship. That's why love is patient. Okay. That's why you need to be patient and give some things some time. But we always, not just women, men and women, we all, over time, we start to realize why people are really doing what they're doing. And we don't need someone, we don't feel safe with someone just because they do everything perfectly, like you were talking about. You can do everything perfectly, and I won't feel safe with you at all because I know you're not doing it for me. You're doing it to be perfect. And if I mess up your perfect, I'm going to pay the piper. Or you can be terrible. I mean, not even great. I mean, I've seen dads that I'm like, there's so much stuff they do that should just land them on CNN. It's like, I can't believe you're getting away with this. But their kids still know they're loved because the dad's doing it because he believes it's best for the kid. And I'm not saying we should do things that aren't good and all those things, but what really matters, ultimately, what's going to determine whether or not a woman feels safe with you is why you're doing what you're doing. And to do the right thing for your wife for the right reason, you have to lay down your life. It's just not about you. It really isn't. And so if you want to, and then love becomes your offense. So if you're trying to figure out who loves you, then you need to go, is this what they're doing? Or are they just being perfect to get something from me? And it takes a little time for this to show up. You just got to be patient and wait and see. But while you're waiting, make sure you're loving them, not that you're just there for transactions or whatever. Just simply, you know what? I want what's best for you. I truly want what's best for you, even if it's not me. So if we go on this date and I'm not best for you, even if I think you'd have been wonderful for me, it's okay.
I've told women before, I think there's some other guy's girlfriend, that, there's a guy out there who's going to appreciate you more than me. And it's a much better breakup line than, I hate you and you're ugly and I'm sick of your face.
I don't know.
It sounds Pollyanna-ish in the moment, but I've always meant it.
That's pretty rough.
Yeah, there was another dating coach who once said, you're good with women when you're turning down or getting rid of perfectly good ones. And I've gone out with lots of women who were delightful and wonderful. They just weren't my future. Yeah. And some of them had convinced themselves into believing I was their future. And I don't know if there was any non-convincing them or unconvincing them or getting them out of that, but it was true. See, when my wife and I met each other, we were looking for each other. And so we both had gone through toxic divorces to mentally ill people who were very selfish, as people with profound mental illness often are. And she was the kind of person I wanted to do these loving gestures and have these loving attitudes towards. She elicited them from me. She caused me to want to do them freely of my own volition. And, kind of along the lines of what you're saying, Kenny, is I've always said, I think one of the reasons why I'm my wife's favorite man she's ever met and why she adores me, because she knows I chose her. I had options. I could have gone elsewhere, but I very much, and this kind of quotes David D'Angelo from years ago, where he said on stage, you ever gone to a woman and you ever gone up to a woman and said, hey, get over here. I've been looking for you for a while. And the whole audience laughs. And I mean, with all respect to what you're saying about patience and kindness, and you're going to have to wait this out. My wife and I did not elope to Vegas 2 weeks after we met. We vetted everything. But as soon as that little chick walked through the door at IHOP that morning for breakfast, I said, oh boy, I'm in trouble in the best way possible. I said, I could listen to my wife read the phone book. I love her voice. She's the cutest thing I've ever seen. I talk about the culmination of all your favorite girlfriends. Guys, there's a snippet from the summit on that very topic. And so it's felt natural for me to want to love her. You go listen to some of these R&B songs from like the 60s and 70s, and they're so good, I want to love you and treat you right, because that's how you feel. I mean, that's human, man. And if you don't feel that way towards this stupid bitch or whatever you're thinking in here about her, that's not your destination. That's not your chick. And it may be because she's broken or she has baggage or she's just not your future. But you can't, that fear of loss, that fear of being alone, that fear of dying alone, that fear I'm never going to find someone else. If I lose her, I'm going to have to start all over again. That is not love, Bubba.
No, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's self-love is what it is, because
Or
it's
self-loathing even, which is even more just tedious to the other person.
right. It's seeking to get my needs met.
Yeah.
And so the reason your wife, feels safe with you, the reason she adores you, I would argue, is because she feels safe with you. The reason she feels safe with you is because she believes that you will lay down your life for her. And that doesn't, and most guys would say, oh, if somebody tried to hurt my wife, I'd definitely lay my life down to save my wife. I saw someone one time who was in the middle of divorcing their wife, and someone tried to kidnap her on the beach. I was there, and the guy came running and he stopped the kidnapping. And then he went on and divorced her. And I just thought, you will protect your wife physically, but in this case, he wasn't protecting his wife from himself. So,
That's
and,
really
and,
deep,
and
man.
yeah, so the reason your wife, most guys would risk their life to physically protect their wife, but in a lifetime, thank God I've never had to do that for my wife. I would, it's almost like I lived for the opportunity, but I don't want it to come. But you know what I'm saying. But what I have to do daily is lay down my life for my wife.
Spoken like a
Meaning,
concealed carry advocate.
yeah. So right, I
Hope I
got
don't
one of
ever
those
have to use
too.
this thing, but
Right.
yeah, like life insurance. Yeah.
Yeah. But men, though they say they'll lay down their life for their wife, what they're really doing is they're laying down their wife's life for themselves.
Mm.
They're everything they're doing, the why behind what they're doing is not their wife. It's themselves. And in any relationship in the world, if the why behind what one party is doing is not the other party, it's themselves. It's fear-led and it's self-destructing. And it's going to be fruitless. It's only a matter of time. It's angry, it's rude, it's envious, it's pride, it's boastful, it's selfish. And ultimately it'll delight in evil.
Kind of to bring this conversation full circle. A lot of people want to figure this out before they ever get into the situation where it's relevant. And that's kind of long for, how do I know what love is? How do I know when I'm in love before it's ever happened? And the frustrating part for a lot of guys and a lot of women, people in general, is it's kind of like Harley Davidson. If I have to describe it to you, you wouldn't understand. And as a sport bike guy, I'm not sure I understand Harley Davidson, but that has been for many years one of their unofficial taglines. And when you meet someone and you're going to fall in love with them, the feeling, the decision is a no-brainer to watch out for their best interests, because what you feel is not fear, but a desire for their best interest, because their best interest will be what makes you happy.
Yeah, but why do you want to fall in love with them? That's where the solution
Yeah,
is.
well, exactly. So, I mean, yeah, this comes back around to a bunch of guys who haven't had it happen to them yet. I'm looking at you MGTOW guys. Why the heck would I want that? I mean, am I going to have to sell my motorcycle? Am I going to have to stop banging a bunch of strippers? Am I going to have to, quit smoking cigars and doing my thing? Am I going to have to give you time and go shop? All I can say is when the right woman comes along, first of all, she's not going to make you quit anything. She's not going to make you stop anything, because that would be fear-based. And you're not going to want to make her do anything or coerce her into anything or try to change her or mold her into anything. What'll happen is you'll just want to love her. You'll want her best interest will be what's best for you. And sometimes it catches you off guard. Now, if the woman's healthy and not broken, she will reciprocate that. And what do you know? You can enjoy your 50th or 60th anniversary someday together, still adoring each other. But that is probably the most, it's kind of a double-edged sword of frustration. until you're in a position to really understand why you want to do this, which may be supernatural. It may be part of what I lump into God's dirty little trick, you know? How you meet this woman and it's like, oh, guess what? You two are perfect for each other. Start loving her. Make the decision. It's an easy one. The other one is, what if she doesn't reciprocate? Then that's going to be unrequited love in the truest sense of the word. So, I mean, it is. It's kind of a double-edged sword. But, where there's no risk, there's no reward.
Yeah, love will always cost you something, but
It
never more
will.
than not loving is going to cost you. And you don't need to be looking to fall in love. Okay. What people call falling in love is the feeling of love. That's the fruit. Fruit comes from something. It doesn't just appear out of nowhere and you cannot create it. Fruit comes from a tree that's rooted well. And so what you need to know is, who do I need to be in order to be fruitful? Because if it's two loving people that have long, healthy relationships, and if you're looking to be loved, if you're looking to fall in love, then you're putting yourself first. Those are for you, not for the other person. And so if you meet the right girl, but you're looking to be loved and she's actually loving, before long, she's gonna figure out that you're first in your in this relationship. In your heart, you come first, and you're gonna run her off.
And you're going to have blown it. That was a perfectly good
That's
woman.
right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
You're probably going to blame her too because you're selfish.
Yeah, you're gonna blame her. That's exactly right.
And become men going their own way and not even ever see what happened. It's like being blindsided by a train you never even saw coming.
Yeah, because it's all her fault. Yeah, no, but it's not. So you don't need to be looking to fall in love. You got to get that out of you. We got to be done with that. You need to be looking to love.
This whole idea of being the person who is ready for love because you know how to love, we call that deserving what you want around here. It's pretty foundational. In other words, if I'm going to expect to have a woman who loves me, I need to be a man who's capable of loving first. I need to be the kind of person who the person I want is going to want in their life in return. Something that encompasses a lot more than simply this conversation. But I think that it's very much on topic.
Yes. I would just add to that, if you're going to love her, you're not going to expect anything and you're not going to feel like you deserve anything. If you're expecting something, or if you feel like you deserve something, no, it's no longer about her. It's back to being about you. If you're going to love her, you're going to love her whether you get it or not. And yes, if I'm on the outside looking in, I might say, man, you didn't deserve that. Like you loved her well. You did everything you could and you got it anyway. Congratulations. You know what I mean? This says nothing about you whatsoever, but this definitely says something about her that needs to be addressed. Now, are you willing to address it with her so that you can help her become a better person, a more loving person? Not so she loves you. That's not our goal. It's just because if she's loving, she's going to be fruitful. And if you love her, you want her to be fruitful. And so it's never about me loving you to get something from you. It's always, I'm going to love you whether you love me or not. And then our defense is love itself. If you're nursing it or you're taking advantage of it, I shouldn't say I love you if I'm going to pretend like it's okay for you to take advantage of people.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with you. I think you're spot on. I don't want to split hairs with the vernacular of the phrase deserve what you want. Here's why I love that phrase. First of all, no one is going to come to me or to you for advice on anything if they don't want something out of it. We're all humans. We all want something. Even if we want to learn how to be less selfish, it would be a mistake. And we can argue about this if you will, but I think it would be a mistake for anybody to actually get in a relationship with someone where they're getting nothing out of it. There's no benefit to them other than I get the privilege of loving you. I would disagree with that.
Yeah. Love wouldn't let you do that though.
That's exactly right, where it comes around. So the deserving element of it is, look, there are a lot of people out there, I'm pointing to myself. Look, there are a lot of people out there who just want what they want. And the message in the dating and relationship world is, here's how you get what you want. Here's how you get a man to stop watching porn and to love you. Here's how you get a woman to, here's how you bypass a woman's rejection mechanism and get her to spread her legs. Okay, step one, baby step. Look, dude, you're going to have to be the kind of guy a woman is looking for to expect that woman. You can't just take advantage of her. Ladies, you can't just take advantage of some rich guy and get him to buy things for you. The conversation you and I are having right now, admittedly, is evolved way beyond that simple premise. But it would also be hard to fit into a tagline that is meaningful to people who are coming in the front door. So that's where the deserve what you want comes from. Because I do think when people come here, they want something. And I think it's reasonable to want something. I think, and like you said, the way you're couching it is brilliant. But the visceral truth is, yes, if I love her, I'm not going to allow her to treat me poorly because that's in her best interest. But you're also not being treated poorly anymore either, which is in your best interest. So
that's right.
In the real world, there's such thing as mutual best interest. Like if a woman says, here's something in my best interest and here's another thing in my best interest, you're a man, freaking lead. It's okay to pick the one you prefer. That would make you happier too, I think.
Well, I would say I want to know why you're picking them, and it is okay to want, okay, but it's not okay to want something from me and to expect you to meet that need. That's not okay. So
no, that's more transactional.
That's right. So when I hear people say I want or I deserve, as soon as I hear I want, I'm like, why do you want it? That's what I almost say. It's okay. It's okay if you want something. I'm fine with you wanting something. Why do you want it? And then I want to know who's going to pay the price for you getting it.
Okay. Well, here's a real world example. It comes down to, for dinner tonight, she's okay with Italian or Mexican. I'm not going to say, well, screw you, we're going to Red Lobster. I'm not going to do that. But if I had Italian for lunch, I'll probably choose Mexican because that's in my better interest too. I think that happens. I mean, that's just the daily grind in a marriage. But if you're looking out for each other and you want to do what's in her best interest, you're not going to go against what's in her best interest. Now, if she's putting on some LBs and she just told you she was on a keto diet, we shouldn't be going to spaghetti or tacos. That's another whole ball of wax. But I get what you're saying, and I think you're right on the money. And to be sure, I love these evolved conversations. Sometimes guys need to hear the basics, and sometimes we need to really dive into the deep stuff. And a lot of these guys are very cerebral, and they love this kind of conversation. And I think you've done a great job of making it make a lot of sense. I mean, I feel like I'm that much clearer on knowing how to tell objectively if I'm being loved or not. I think it's been a fantastic conversation. Kenny, I want to send these guys to your book because I think they should all buy it. And it's not just about this, okay? There's a lot more in there that's along the same lines and just as wise, if not even wiser. When you go to mountaintoppodcast.com/Amazon, first of all, you will go to my Amazon influencer queue, which is just a douchey way of saying I have a dedicated Amazon storefront. And I'll put the right fight up there at the top of my Amazon influencer queue. And if you guys are listening to this within like a week or two of it being released, surely you'll find Kenny's book right there near the top. And also when they go to mountaintoppodcast.com/Kenny, they will go to, shieldofstrength.com. What do you got there for them, Kenny?
So we got a jewelry line, about 400 pieces of jewelry. We started just making dog tags for the military. We did that for 10 years. And then it evolved into a jewelry line. We've been doing about 30 years, but yeah, we got a lot of guys pieces in there, specifically crosses, a wrench cross, a lineman cross, a fishing cross. We try to give them something they like. Yeah.
That's very cool. Yeah. Go to mountaintoppodcast.com/Kenny and you'll see that. Go to mountaintoppodcast.com and grab you a copy of The Right Fight. Kenny Vaughan, thanks for coming on, man. Are you related to Stevie Ray?
Distantly, I think I actually am. Distantly. Yeah.
Well, you're in Texas and your name's Vaughan. So I have to ask. I appreciate you. I appreciate your work. Man, I love smart people who've thought about things for 20 years, and you're definitely one of them. So it's been a joy. Thank you, man.
Man, you did a great job. I appreciate. Thank you very much for allowing me to come on. Really.
I'm going to go ahead and open the kimono here and reveal to these guys that we had to drop our first 15 minutes of this conversation because of technical issues. And I'm not crying over that spilt milk. I think this is even better.
I agree.
I think we topped ourselves. Fantastic. Thanks again, man. Hope to have you back on.
I would love to be back on. Yeah. So I could talk about it endlessly.
Yeah, no kidding. Gentlemen, go to mountaintoppodcast.com, download the free book, Sticking Points Solved. Won't cost you a dime. What I did was I compiled a bunch of letters from you guys and put it in a book. And once you've read the book, man, I think you're going to have basically a little mini encyclopedia of how to handle just about any situation you can happen across with a woman. Sticking Points Solved is there for you free. Some of you guys haven't talked to me for 25 minutes for free yet. Do you feel like you're loved? Are you having trouble wrapping your head around what we talked about today? Are you dating and not feeling a whole lot of love towards the women you're meeting? Let's talk about it. Again, that won't cost you a dime. If it makes sense to put a coaching program together, so be it. But you can get on my calendar at mountaintoppodcast.com. And while you're there, visit our sponsors, Jocko Willink's company Origin in Maine, Hero Soap, and also The Keyport. When you partake of anything from our 3 longtime sponsors, please use the coupon code MOUNTAIN10 to get 10% off. All that is there for you and more at mountaintoppodcast.com. And until I talk to you again real soon, this is Scott McKay from X and Y Communications in San Antonio, Texas. Be good out there.